Hello friends, a very good day to you. Today we are going to be discussing Akbar and we will be focusing specifically upon his campaigns. And when we are talking about Akbar and his campaigns, the very beginning of it we see during the second battle of Panipat. Now remember that although Akbar has been crowned the king of India, he has been driven out of the Ganga Yamuna Doab. He has been driven out of the Delhi region by the Afghans. Okay, and therefore, in order to establish himself as the ruler of India, he has to fight the Afghan forces operating under Hemu. All right, Hemu, remember, was the commander of Adali, the Afghan chief, and Hemu had risen up the ranks. He was he was from the Bakkal caste and he was just a market supervisor, but he had risen up the ranks and now he had become the chief commander of the Afghan forces under Adali. And this is the force under Hemu, who had also assumed the title of Vikramjit by now. So it is this command of Hemu that Akbar has to break through in order to proclaim himself the king of India, and this he does with the help of Bairam Khan, who is leading his army in the second battle of Panipat, where it is said that Hemu was just about to win, but he was struck in the eye with an arrow and he fell down from the elephant, and his troops, they panicked and they ran away, and therefore Akbar was victorious. Hemu was executed and he could truly proclaim himself the king of India. And once being seated in the throne of Agra, now what Akbar goes on to do is that he goes on an extensive campaign in order to subjugate all of his neighbors, in order to subjugate all of the neighboring territories. And these campaigns starts with the conquest of Malwa, all right, where Baz Bahadur is the ruler. Now Baz Bahadur, it is said that more than being a ruler, he was also an excellent musician. Therefore, we see that Baz Bahadur, after an extensive period of running away from Akbar, Baz Bahadur is finally captured, and Akbar, when realizing his musical talents, Baz Bahadur himself was inducted into the Mansabdari of Akbar. All right. So, however, let us talk about the campaign in Malwa. Of the campaign in Malwa, we understand that Akbar was very easily he was able to subjugate Malwa, and Baz Bahadur had fled and taken refuge with Uday Singh of Mewar. All right, and this is going to be a bone of contention with Akbar, between Akbar and Uday Singh, the sheltering of Baz Bahadur. And when Akbar takes on Uday Singh and Mewar, all right, later on, we see that the sheltering of Baz Bahadur is one of the issues that are raised in order to be able to legitimately conduct a military campaign against the fort of Chittor. Now, however, right after the conquest of Malwa, we see that Akbar also goes on to conquer Gondwa, which at that period of time is also known as Garh and Katanga, or Garh Katangi. Why was it known as Garh Katangi? Because of the presence of the two important cities of Garh and Katanga, and therefore it was known as Garh Katangi at that point of time, and it was being ruled by Rani Durgavati. However, remember that the only female ruler of the medieval period is Razia Sultana. Rani Durgavati was not, a Rani per se, or she was not the legitimate ruler per se. She was ruling for her minor son. All right, and this Rani Durgavati, she underestimated the forces of Akbar. She thought that it was just a raiding party, it seems, and she went away with her quite smaller amount of troops, and she was promptly defeated by Akbar. And this was also followed by loot and plunder in this region, all right, by Akbar's commanders. Same goes for Malwa and same goes for Gondwa. And then, of course, we also see the capture of Gujarat, where Akbar very easily took over Surat and Ahmedabad. And remember that Surat and Ahmedabad were easily captured, and this also gave Akbar the very great possession of the coastal regions of India from where trade could flourish. Okay, so this was one of the reasons why Gujarat was captured, and Gujarat at that point of time was being ruled by individual rulers and smaller rulers, and they were infighting amongst themselves. So it was not a very tough contest when it comes to the conquest of Gujarat by Akbar. And after the conquest of Gujarat, Mirza Aziz Koka Mirza Aziz Koka, who was the son of Atka Khan, was placed as the governor of Gujarat. And right after Akbar left Gujarat region after the campaign, there was a rebellion within Gujarat of the Gujarati chiefs, and it was Mirza Aziz Koka who very deftly handled the situation and who subdued this rebellion, and established the Mughals firmly in the Gujarat region. However, before even the Gujarat campaign was taken up. Why I reserved it for last is because it is one of the long-term, long-term campaigns that Akbar and also his successors, they follow through this campaign. Okay, so this is going to be a long-term campaign, and it starts with the contemplation of the campaign upon Gujarat. Okay, Gujarat campaign comes after the campaign that I am going to talk about now. It's it starts with the contemplation of the Gujarat campaign, because in order to move into Gujarat from Delhi, first the region that you have to subjugate is Rajputana, because Rajputana falls on the way, and without control of the fort of Chittor, which is one of the strongest forts in the entirety of Rajputana, which is also the center of the principality of Mewar, which at that point of time is being ruled by Uday Singh. Now this region has to be subdued, and this region has to be subjugated, and the fort of Chittor has to be taken out. Alright, and remember that at that point of time, the specific point of time that we are talking about, the artillery barrage of the Mongols is the most superior artillery in the entire India. Alright, and remember that no fort can stand in the way of the Mongol barrages, okay, at that point of time. And Akbar follows the same kind of principles that his ancestors used to follow, such as our very own Genghis Khan, who would give you the option of either surrendering or dying. Okay, and you see, this is the kind of conquest that Akbar, you see, embarked in his initial period of conquering the various principalities in and around his own region. Okay, so the same kind of offers were given to Chittor. Uday Singh, however, had fled away. Okay, Uday Singh had fled away, and Uday Singh had left Jaimal, his commander, for the defenses of Chittor, and Jaimal was promptly defeated by Akbar. Okay, Jaimal was promptly defeated by Akbar, and there were many techniques which are used, which have become legendary at this point of time, the techniques which were used to conquer the fort of Chittor. However, the fort of Chittor fell, Jaimal was defeated, and there was, you see, general massacre, and we see that Akbar also gains control of the fort of Chittor, alright, and therefore opening up the route to Gujarat, where the Gujarat campaign takes place. And after the Gujarat campaign, the victorious Gujarat campaign, we see that Akbar constructs the Buland Darwaza in Fatehpur Sikri to celebrate the conquest of Gujarat. And now what remains to be explained is that of the Bengal region, and the Bengal region is taken over from Daud Khan, alright. And in all of these principalities, we see that Akbar places very trusted nobles, and these trusted nobles are able to keep control over these places. However, Chittor region still stays restive. It stays restive till the, you see, till the mature period of Akbar's reign, when another conflict breaks out between the, you see, successor of Uday Singh, that is Rana Pratap, and this conquest is handled, this campaign is handled by Akbar's commander Man Singh, one of the Rajput nobles in Akbar's Mansabdari system. Man Singh goes against Rana Pratap, and the battle is the famous battle of Haldighati, where Rana Pratap is defeated by Man Singh, and Akbar is finally able to proclaim his superiority over the principality of Mewar. However, this region will remain restive till the time of Jahangir's period, when Jahangir finally arrives at a solution to this problem, which will be discussed later in a later edition of our videos. Alright, so this we have to know about Akbar's campaigns. As far as his matrimonial alliances with the Rajputs are concerned, it begins with the ruler of Amber. Alright, it begins with the ruler of Amber, the ruler being Bharmal, alright, who gave the Kachwaha princess, who gave the Kachwa princess in marriage to Akbar, and such kind of other marriage alliances also began to take place after this initial marriage. It is from the Kachwa princess that Salim was born. Salim's that is Prince Salim, who later on goes on to become Jahangir. Salim's birth was predicted by the Sufi saint Salim Chishti, who himself is buried in Fatehpur Sikri, in a dargah at Fatehpur Sikri. Fatehpur Sikri being constructed in veneration of the great Sufi saint Salim Chishti. So the Raja of Amber, Bharmal, is the first one to accept the matrimonial alliance with Akbar, and this was proposed, we are told this was proposed at the Ajmer Dargah, at Akbar's first visit to the Ajmer Dargah. And Man Singh is also, Raja Man Singh, who goes on to become a very important noble in Akbar's Mansabdari, raised to a position of 7,000 Mansab, which is highest among the nobility. Okay, it cannot be aspired to, because 5,000 used to be the absolute maximum that a noble could aspire to, and only people of royal birth could be given of Mansabdari ranks beyond 5,000. 7,000 was given to Man Singh out of respect because of his great service to Akbar. Okay, and therefore this is, we have to remember that he was an adopted son of Bharmal, Raja Bharmal Kachwaha, who was the first to conduct a marriage alliance with Akbar. And Bharmal's son, that is Bhagwan Das, was also a noble in Akbar's Mansabdari. He was also taken up as a noble in Akbar's Mansabdari. So this is the system of conquest in Akbar. Once a region is conquered, the nobility of that region is not just left off to starve, but they are inducted into the Mughal Mansabdari system, and therefore, and also, they are given regions within their own, principalities to rule about as Watan Jagirdars. Okay, Jagirdars who had been hereditary or ancestral rulers of the places which have been subjugated. So by doing this system, a balance is created and further conflicts are avoided. Okay, so we see this is the the entire sequence of conquests that Akbar goes forward with, and by doing all of this, he is able to subjugate the entire ring of fire that surrounds Delhi, and by doing so, he finally proclaims, or he finally consolidates the great Mughal empire, which goes on to thrive forward for further centuries. Thank you. With that, I take your leave.